Well, Brent, to show you how far the Antic River has come, at one point it was licking against those cement blocks. Now it's back to where it should be. But if you look at the trees behind me, you can see that this river is still up several feet. A train derailment leaves people with an image they've never seen.
Fox 61's Eric Zager is live at a very popular Shell station in New Haven tonight with those details. Eric?
Susan, doesn't look that way right now, but we've been seeing cars come in and out of here all day long. This is no Shell game at this Shell station in New Haven. Price of a gallon of gasoline selling for $3.97 cash. No joke. The owner says he'll continue to sell it at this price or less for at least the next 2 weeks, no matter how much profit he loses. This is the face of a young police officer, a former Marine, Matthew Morelli, dedicated to his country and the city of Norwalk, killed in the line of duty. His killer potentially still on the street. Hand-to-hand simulated combat. Intense training carried out in a city created to look like Balad, a real place north of Baghdad.
Face forward, sir. Sir.
This is a long way off from flying and repairing helicopters. Soldiers here say this is the kind of necessary training they'll need if something were to go awfully wrong. Wayne West, Wyatt's great uncle, held nothing back, saying the charges against the little boy's parents, Rebecca and Jason Matu, are well justified. Wayne, an uncle to Rebecca, has broken with the family in saying the young couple has not suffered enough.
If the ones that could have prevented it were confronted on it and didn't do anything, then they should be held responsible. And I'll never change. No one's going to change my mind.
On one horrible day in late August, Wayne's grave concerns of guns was fully realized.
I'm very angry that they didn't take my warnings because I knew something was going to happen. You can't leave guns out with kids.
He's talking publicly for the first time about the exacting details, saying Jason's handgun, loaded with one bullet, was left in a bedroom on a nightstand within the easy grip of the fingers of a curious 2-year-old. Up until a few weeks ago, Wayne lived here. He says he would often go next door to the Matu's apartment. He says on many occasions he found Jason's Glock, his handgun, just laying on the kitchen table and elsewhere in places that Wyatt could easily reach. In the weeks preceding Wyatt's death, Wayne says he found himself pleading with Rebecca. She said, according to Wayne, that her husband refused to lock up the Glock with his rifles and shotguns.
She had talked to me about how she was uncomfortable with him sleeping with the gun out because he said he had to have the gun out in case anything ever happened in the middle of the night. I wish I would have called the cops on him, but I didn't know all the laws with guns. I've never owned a gun, so I didn't know exactly what the laws were.
We tried to reach Rebecca and Jason Matu. They are living with family outside Jewett City.
Hi. Hi. Becky?
No.
No, it's my name. I'm sorry.
Can you guys actually leave?
Wayne loved Wyatt like a son. It's not settled in that as close as he'll ever get to that little boy that loved Christmas movies and Winnie the Pooh is through these pictures placed between two angels.
I just want everyone to remember Wyatt and the love he put in everybody's lives. That's what this is all about.
Eric Zager, Fox 61 News at 10. Robert Rich can't erase the image from his mind or get the taste out of his mouth.
I was covered from head to toe. Dripping down my face was feces and urine.
Rich says he was but 2 feet away from inmate Justine Crispin when he was assaulted. Crispin was in his cell. Rich says he was on the other side sliding a lunch tray through what's called a feed trap, a roughly 16-by-4 opening in the cell door. Think of it as a small mailbox. Rich says Crispin stuck his arm through the opening with a shampoo bottle similar to this in hand. Before Rich could get out of the way, he says feces was dripping from his face into his mouth and everywhere else on his body.
I've been kicked, punched, and even stabbed in my career. In all that time, I've never been involved in an assault that was as disgusting, unsanitary, degrading, repulsive, embarrassing, and grotesque as this.
If you look close enough at the black and white pictures, you can see discoloration in Rich's uniform. It happened last week, a day before Northern Death Row inmate Daniel Webb severely beat prisoner Russell Peeler Jr. It's not the first time an inmate has thrown feces, but officers say prisoners no longer have reason to fear consequences.
I wouldn't imagine he's going to really see any kind of discipline come out of this due to loopholes in the policies and systems that the inmates have.
I'd be surprised if this inmate who's getting out next year to the public, if he's going to serve an extra day for this.
Rich has heard from other inmates, one who is seemingly about to file a lawsuit against him on Crispin's behalf. It's not clear if that's what Crispin wants. Another inmate told Rich, quote, Crispin says to say hi, how did the doo-doo taste?
I feel like the Department of Corrections has let me down. You know, if an inmate gets assaulted, we have what's called a critical incident stress meeting to discuss what happened to the inmate. You really are the first person that's called me to ask me about this.
Rich says the assault is the worst of his 17-year career.
You know, I have a great sense of humor, and that's probably what gets me through my job on a daily basis, but this is not one bit funny.
The state police is investigating, but as you heard correction officers say, they don't expect Crispin to face criminal charges, let alone prison discipline. Eric Zager, Fox 61 News at 10.
That one to your right. If we got it here, they'd kill every bird on the farm.
Avian flu has the potential to do what no vandal, storm, or runaway has ever done. Destroy the king of Connecticut birds.
There's nothing we can do.
For reasons of privacy, Don requested we not divulge his last name or location. He, however, does not hide behind numbers.
Between 70 and 80,000.
Yep, he's talking birds, pheasant, huns, and quail. Thousands hatched on this day alone, and plenty more are nearly ready to roll out of this incubator.
These are all chuckers here in these rocks.
It started as a hobby. Now there are more mouths to feed than anyone can comprehend. Like birds of a feather, it's a family business. Their collective thought is on the deadly avian flu. Out of country, but now not out of mind.
What do you do to prevent it? I mean, wild birds can fly over and we get it.
Disconcerting since there's no way to insulate the farm. They have too much time, too much money wrapped up to slow down. The first of the newborns are headed to the Love Shack, more commonly known as a brooder. Here they'll fatten up for eventual sale. Don says if the bird flu hits, he'd lose $500,000.
That's not even the worst of it. The worst, Don says, is it could cost him his farm, a business he's operated since the 1950s.
With so much riding on the backs of these chuckers, a type of partridge, Don finds himself looking above for a dose of divine intervention.
So we're praying we don't get it.
Eric Zager, Fox 61 News at 10.